Next up, we have another panel discussion with the topic Finding the 100X Community in Gaming. We would like to call on Callie Moore of High Vibe PR. She will lead the discussion with some of the leading Web3 VCs on how they identify projects with strong communities. And these VCs have very impressive track records. Joining Callie, we have Ryan Kim of Hashed, Tommy Chang of Spartan Group, Juno Chen of 7X Ventures, and Shi Kai Wei of Long Hash.
All right, hello everyone. So we just had our intro, so I'm going to skip that since we only have 30 minutes and we have quite a distinguished panel ahead and jump in. All right, so a lot has changed in the crypto market since some of you guys invested in the early days of YGG and Axie Infinity. I only have one question that's related to the events of the past couple weeks, but I think it's an important one. How has FTX's collapse impacted how you'll conduct due diligence on your investments moving forward? Ryan, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, actually, last week was quite crazy week. And I think FTX event was just consecutive event from Luna and also Voyager, a lot of the risk from the macro economy. So from the Luna corruption, we changed our whole strategy from very aggressive investment strategy to a little bit conservative nowadays. And definitely the founder mindset have to be changed from expansion centric strategy to more like operation centric. That means they have to focus on the fundamental value. That means not just raising fund with a higher value. Rather than that, they have to focus on the game is really fun. They have to get more, they have to onboard the real user from the public. That kind of metric will be more important nowadays. So we are looking at that scores in the due diligence.
Anyone else want to jump in?
Yeah, for sure. So I think one thing that has been made very clear is that the more obscure kind of like black box centralized institutions are quite dangerous, and in fact more dangerous in Web3. Compared to Web 2, because like we are still in a very new space. A lot is like very not well understood and unregulated. So I think even more importantly, we need to invest in more of the decentralized technologies, projects that have assets that are on-chain, that are governed on-chain through smart contracts, and with that, hopefully move us towards like a more transparent future.
Awesome, thank you. Kai, let's stick with you and jump into Web3 gaming. So one trend that I'm seeing in the Web3 gaming space is that studios are focusing less on value earned and more on utility and ownership of digital assets. How do you think this shift will impact the future of Web3 gaming development? Kai, do you want to take that? Should I?
Sorry.
Do you want to take it? Open
Sure,
it up
sure.
for anyone.
No, sure. Sorry, can you repeat again, just really quickly?
Oh, yeah. So the shift of studios from value earned to more empowering players through utility and the ownership of digital assets, how do you think this shift is going to impact the future of Web3 gaming development overall?
Yeah, for sure. I think we have seen a very strong consensus among everyone that play to earn in its current form is not enough, right? We need more. So everybody is actually moving towards finding more sources of demand for these like in-game assets, be it NFTs or in-game tokens themselves. And therefore, I think we are looking at more kind of social use cases, right? Things where you want to show off. Could be things that you can affect in-game, right? Like things like governance or things like competition. So for sure, I think everybody's experimenting with some of these methods to make the whole economy more sustainable while still engaging the player economy.
Any other thoughts, Tommy?
Yeah, I can take this one. So the thing is, when projects are advertising the earn part, I think they're not really attracting the right communities and growing the right communities. So because like when token incentives are given out, speculators get drawn like naturally. And although some might be hardcore gamers, at the end of the day, I think they're coming here for the tokens, right? And you don't want these type of players extracting value off your ecosystem. And because I think we all know that there has been a lot of skepticism around NFTs and the current play-to-earn model within Web3, it's going to be the current Web3 play-to-earn model is going to have very limited effect on actually gaining mainstream adoption as well as attracting mainstream gamers. So I think in the very short term, projects are going to have to leverage the existing Web2 ways to kind of build truly grassroots communities. And that's why after the collapse of some of the play-to-earn economies, we have started seeing projects shifting from the original play-to-earn model to the more traditional free-to-play or the so-called free-to-own model.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so what I'm also seeing is a lot of successful AAA developers and free-to-play developers leaving their huge publishing studios and jumping into Web3 game development. Juno, everyone says that Web3 needs fun games in order to succeed. Do you think this next generation of founders coming from these big publishers are going to be the right founders to usher in this next generation?
Yeah, sure. I think because Web3 gaming will definitely need the great contents and the more great developers, right? And the games want to keep the players to in the game playing in a long term and bring more players. That should be a fun game. And for the different kind of the developers, we think both bullish on the Web3 native Web3 gamers because gaming developers because they are really deeply in the Web3 and also recently we keep in talking a lot with the Web2 gaming developers coming from NetEase, Tencent because they have really experience in the Web2 gaming can bring a lot of the great content IPs to Web3 world. And I think this is really important. And also, if they can get some really great partners in Web3, helping them doing issuing tokens, NFT launching, and helping them design token economics, that will be really great integration. Yeah, definitely. I'm really great to see that's a lot of really good Web2 developers coming to Web3. Yeah.
Anyone else on the panel want to jump in here?
Yeah, I think I totally agree on the Juno's opinion. Actually, from last year, so many Web3 game studios jumping into this space. Especially, I'm based in Korea, so Korea case is Nexon, NCSoft, the kind of top 3 for game studio. They already have tons of users inside. They are turning out to be now a Web3 company. I think the characteristic of the gamers will be very different from the prior age. So that means Web3 so far, their target was more the traders or speculator or Web3 natives. They already knows how to use the transaction or wallet, and already they're very knowledgeable about the crypto. But I think from now on, in this bear market, definitely all the game studios have to onboard the real just Web2 user. That means most of the users don't know how they set up the wallet. They don't care about the wallet address, and they don't have to care about a security. Most of the user experience should be very simple and easy. And I think Web2 studios are very good at it. They're expert, shortening all the process and expedite the user pay a lot to make the revenue. And I think there will be a kind of norm in this space.
If I may add as well, we love Web2 developers, and they know games really well, and they know good user experience because that's so important in Web2. At the same time, I think we need to still look out for the Web3 mindset, right? Where you want to give value back to the players, give ownership back to the players, to engage them in ways to grow the economy or even govern some aspects of the economy and have user-created value. So it's quite easy for them to adopt this mindset if they're ready to aligned with the Web3 philosophy.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're going to shift gears slightly and focus more on growth. So I think we saw in the earlier days, Sky Mavis in particular did an incredible job of scaling the community in unscalable ways, but obviously the market has shifted a bit. What companies are you seeing killing it in the bear market right now when it comes to community buy-in and growth overall? Whoever wants to take this one.
Yeah, I think recently there has been a few like really I think really strong growth tactics in terms of growing community. I think one is the free-to-all model that's got recently popularized by Digidai, which is a 2K NFT PFP collection that rewards loyal token holders on a continuous basis. So, I mean, free mint is not a new concept by any chance, right? But however, it can be a really extremely powerful tool to grow community as well as bootstrapping like advocates within the gaming ecosystem if done right. And more recently, I think there's more and more Web3 games that started growing their community by activating holders of different NFT collections within their community. One example of this is a project called Valhalla, which I think will be launching their NFT collection very soon. And these are some of the more powerful tactics for growing communities that we've seen recently.
And I want to bring up the other case. Like actually, one of our portfolio made a booth here and named the Mode House. They're making a decentralized K-pop idol, and their approach is more like making good content with K-pop idol. And they 2 weeks ago they launched the first music video on YouTube, and they hit the 26 million views right now, and bringing more just normal K-pop fans to the field. And already the app is prepared, so the fans are installing app and participating in the app to get the photo cards with NFT inside. And after buying the NFT, then they can participate into governance of the K-pop idol. I think a lot of the cool point here, like for next era, and I think the gaming space can adapt a lot of like this kind of the fandom community to their business.
Yep. I think combining both of these, I think one of the most high-profile NFT launches was actually the Reddit collectibles, right? And I think firstly, there were a lot of it's very low barrier to entry, and also they keep it very user-friendly. In fact, even in the language, they don't even call it NFTs unless you go into the documentation. So all Reddit users know is that they get a fun avatar, they can go and remix it. So it naturally taps into the community effect of an existing platform. And I'm sure in the bear market, we'll see a lot of that happening.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that if that's okay, Juno, and I'll turn it back over to you. My next question, a little bit of background. I've been in Web 2 gaming PR before I got into Web 3 for about 8 years, and esports specifically. And we're still seeing a lot of backlash from traditional gamers when it comes to NFTs. And I think exactly what you were saying about the language shift and how Reddit is rolling out the concept of NFTs is really interesting. Juno, maybe you can jump into that. What Web3 studios and guilds, what can they do to get gamers more on board with the concept of digital ownership?
Yeah, I think we should maybe more focus on the game itself. We will try to for the studios need to lower the barriers for the players. I think making players feel it's just a fun game, and maybe providing some free NFT maintenance. Let them start as others also you mentioned, yeah. And because I think many Web2 gamers against of NFTs, because when they start to play the game, some of the Web3 game studios or projects, they require the players to buy the NFTs. They may feel maybe it's a scam, and they are really afraid of losing monies. And also they maybe feel unfair and less powerful from the game, because maybe they think the players can level up, not only because of their game skills, maybe just because they can purchase expensive NFTs, right? So yeah, I think during this process, I think community is really important. I think they can play a role as definitely they have the part of ownership of the game, but the same way they can also kind of coordinate and bring better gaming experience to the players. No matter it's free NFT or the purchased NFT, they can guide and providing making the players can be really know how to explore in the game. Yeah.
Anyone else have thoughts on widespread NFT adoption or how to make just Web3 gaming more appealing to a mainstream audience?
Yeah, I think just to touch on what Juno and Shikai's pointed a little bit earlier, I think in Web2 gaming, you rarely see games, start selling in-game assets prior to actually launching a game, right? So that's why I think for Web3 game to move forward, I think developers, game dev need to focus on actually delivering really fun and engaging gaming experiences, as opposed to selling 10K PFE drops prior to launching a game, right? Which is a little bit of value attraction, in my opinion. And as a role of community, I think also although crypto assets are highly volatile and sometimes speculative, I don't think people should consider them get rich quick schemes, but continue to get yourself educated and know how these things work.
And I want to touch on the flex point. So the reason why the PFP was so popular was the people want to show off. I'm rich from the crypto investment, and they show off through the Twitter profile or Telegram profile, and they show like tens of PFP, which is super expensive. I think that point can be adapted to the gaming industry as well. Game definitely the target the mass, and in mass to make a community, they have to figure out how the gamer can show off. I have the expensive game item, or I have a better position than you have. That kind of the stuff they have to touch on, and I think the fashion would be part of that characteristic. So nowadays, the metaverse fashion or in-game fashion is getting developed, and we are investing in that area a lot. And I think a more fabulous the fashion can make more value. Then I think community will be more concrete.
Okay, great. I'm going to add one question that wasn't on our list, just getting to know the community and the audience here. What would you say to founders who are trying to raise for the first time right now? What should founders know?
I can kick it off. Well, certainly I think this bear market is already quite different from the last one. There are still a lot of investors around. I think we're all here still around. So don't be too discouraged. I think people are still here. That being said, I think most investors I know are getting more conservative. So that means that be more realistic in the valuation. It's not like last year. And also try to have more traction before trying to gain go for the first fundraising round, right? It's okay to delay it a little bit, raise a little bit less at a slightly lower valuation, and then show more progress, and then go for the next round. So you don't need to. It's not like the bull market where you could be opportunistic and say, hey, I can raise that high valuation, get 5-10 years runway. In this case, let's take it step by step.
What kind of traction should seed founders? What should they show? Are there any KPIs that you kind of use as a rule of thumb when it comes to Web3 gaming traction?
Yeah. So we look at a few aspects. So firstly, the product itself. Can you make some progress there, be it in terms of the actual game itself, the game assets, right, the game mechanics? So if you can show some early concepts of that and early production, that'll be fantastic. In terms of the user/community as well, even though the game itself might not be launched, if you have some existing IP that has been gaining attention, if you have existing community events that's gaining attention, or the people that are following you because of whatever previous platforms that you have, those certainly help the case. And then lastly, in terms of partnerships and integrations as well. So if you already have pre-existing partnerships with, let's say, guilds or other distribution platforms, existing kind of, let's say, esports communities, all of these are data points that can strengthen your chances of success.
Great. Does anyone else have anything they want to add?
Yeah, I think you also need me focus on the more about the game categories and what kind of the Web2 gaming categories, how big the market is, and from the team. So what kind of the core team members they they any have like presentative works before and what kind of the performance during the market before as well. Yeah, so we can see like we need to look at more details. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we have 5 minutes left, and I want to ask a two-part question to all of you to end. So the first part is, how has your investment thesis changed in this bear market? And then what are you most excited about from an investment standpoint in the year to come? Tommy, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, our investment thesis hasn't changed much in terms of investing in Web3 gaming. So our thesis has been, we want to empower the founders who can deliver the best gaming experiences, to gamers. And in the years to come, we want to see games that utilize blockchain technology as a way to empower gamers through providing real ownership of assets without actually introducing a lot of user friction.
Yeah, I think a good thing of the bull market was we are very optimistic about every single deal, and we can think like everything is experimental. But in bear market, rather than just investing to very experimental, we investing to very concrete and product-focused team. So we are watching the team's profession. Also how strong the team is, and how fun the game is, the kind of the fundamental the evaluation of the deal is more important nowadays. And definitely the trend is not changed, and I think the old team have to aiming for the mass, a more new user they have to target rather than just crypto native. And like a very, I think crypto native is quite easy to come in and also easy to come out. So I believe more we have to onboard a very sticky users from mass.
Yeah, echo everything you guys said. Same with us as well. Our thesis has remained largely the same. Actually, we're quite keen right now on gaming infrastructure because during the bear market where there's not as much user attention, there's more room to kind of like reflect and how do we then continue to lower the barriers for more developers and more publishers to come in. So things like middleware that make minting, wallet analytics, all these really simple. How do you might want to have a path towards developing your own chain. Once you have users, you want them to have network effects by building some sort of reputation and continuous engagement. So all the developer tools / user-facing tools that make you adopt Web3 games much easier, much faster, and hopefully in an invisible way in the future, we're very bullish on those.
Yeah, like similar. I think like we are like looking for the teams like which can bring like more great contents, IP building and the community building, and also like the key point is how you provide the players better experience, and then you can like level up or scale up the whole market of gaming. Yeah, indeed.
All right, thank you guys so much. Can we have a round of applause for our panelists?
Thank you so much, Callie Moore, Ryan Kim, Tommy Chang, Juno Chen, and Shi Kai Wei.